afternoon. Good afternoon. It is lunchtime, and so we are showing back up again today. If you don't know, my name is Denise Taylor, and I have been going live every day in the month of August, at least the weekdays, spending lunch with you as a part of the CEO Shift live stream series. This has been an incredible journey for me. We are nearing the end. Next week will be the end. And this has ignited so much drive and passion within me for the work that I get to do. And I'm always so thankful. I don't know if it's because it's Thursday and I've had a chance to just pour out from a wellspring within myself, but I'm always so thankful when I think about the impact that I get to make and help other women make in their businesses. And as I was reflecting today, today was a little bit different for me. As I've been on this journey, when I've been waking up in the mornings, the downloads of what to share have come instantly, of how to show up on this mic and what things I'm going to talk about have come up. I start my morning with my routine of working out. And usually when I leave for the workout, I'm pretty solid on where I'm going to go in the conversation. But today was a little bit different for me. Throughout my life, I have learned to really trust God to lead me on what I need to share. And so I was fully convinced that by the time I would get on the mic, I would know exactly where to go. And of course, he was faithful for giving me that direction. Maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, I started doing water aerobics in the mornings, mainly because I was having so much trouble with my knees. My knees were really, really giving me a lot of problems. It was very difficult for me to take a flight of stairs. I can remember during the course of the time, my husband looked at me and said to me, he did not think I would be walking up and down the stairs the way that I was until I was in my late 70s, because it was just hard for me to get around. Anyway, so I started doing water aerobics. I was talking with someone today and told them it was like it just dropped in my spirit, go do water aerobics. And I woke up and I just started doing it. It was like I got this urge to say, go get in the water. And so I started doing it. And today, when I went, it was at water aerobics that I got kind of the inkling of where I needed to go with the conversation with all of you. And I was reflecting back to my very first day, the very first day that I went to the water aerobics class. I made a decision to sign up for 2 classes. And so the first class was so welcoming. I'm so glad it was my first class because it really set me off on the course of finding camaraderie there and finding connection there. But the second class that I signed up on my very first day was the deep class. And I don't know what I was thinking when I signed up. I just signed up. So it was the deep class. And I remember putting on my suspension belt. I remember getting my weights and my noodle and all of the equipment that you need for the class. And I was in the water, and there's not very many people who take the deep class for obvious reasons. A lot of people just don't like not having the ground underneath you. But I was in the water and I was moving all around. Like it was as if I couldn't control where I was at. We were doing different moves. We were doing different exercises, but it just seems like I was all over the pool. And I remember looking at some of the other ladies, and it seemed like they were in one spot, like they were full throttle synchronized swimming. They were not moving, but me, I was like everywhere all over the pool. And I made this remark. I made the remark and I said, why is it that I'm everywhere and no one else is moving? And it was this older lady who was in the class, and she kind of quipped back to me without hesitation. She just said it really quickly. Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. And it was in that instance that I realized I was comparing my day one to her day 19,050, whatever, right? My day one to her 30 years, like all of the runway she had in front of me, all of the things that she had done to learn how to manage her core and really stabilize herself in the water. I'm comparing my day one to her 30 years of experience. And so as I was in class today, really asking God, like, what do I need to share? What is it that I need to share? Specifically around people who are trying to launch their business and trying to get momentum and trying to accelerate and trying to understand their market positioning. What is it that I need to share? And he said that you need to tell them it's not instant. And a lot of them are discouraged because they are comparing their day one or even their day 100 or even their day 1000 to someone's 30 years, to someone's 10 years, to someone's 5 years. And that comparison is not intended to be one to discourage you. It is intended to be one to be markers of success for you. And it really was a message to come and encourage you to keep going. I know for myself in my own water aerobic journey, I have gotten stronger. I have gotten better. I am able to handle the equipment and do things in the water that I never imagined myself being able to do. But I certainly could not do them on my day one. It took me putting in the reps. It took me sticking with it. And oftentimes, when we are dealing with our business, when we are trying to understand how to drive momentum with our business, we get discouraged as soon as we start looking at someone who is 1,000 steps ahead, who is 10 years ahead, who is 5 years ahead. And we fail to understand that they had their day one and they had to work through very similar things that you have to work through in understanding your market positioning and understanding how to interpret the metrics from it. But we allow comparison to rob us of such an incredible opportunity to build something magnificent for yourself, for your legacy, for your family, as well as make the impact that you feel called to make. And so what I want to energize for you today, especially because so many people are in the marketplace right now. There's so many people enterprising their ideas, and some people are authentic and allowing you to know their journey. And some people are flexing for the gram. They're putting it on as if they are more successful than they really are. There's the full gamut that happens, right? But when it comes to you and your journey, you have to be willing to go the distance with it and give it time. And this is one of the reasons why in my signature process, when I'm working with my clients, I always start with purpose, because you're connected to that. And it is something that should resonate with you, should fulfill you, and should be able to sustain you for the journey. But even with purpose, you have to give positioning time. And over the last couple of days, I feel like I've done a really good job of helping you to understand how a niche is different than positioning. So if you are still at the point where you only have a niche, you do have progress to make to establish your market positioning. And there are 3 different elements that come into play there. It's understanding yourself, understanding your business, and understanding your audience. And that I've talked about this week as well. But what I really want to encourage you with today, and what I really want to double down on, is not falling prey to giving up in the well doing. That should sound familiar to you. We should not get weary. We should not give up in the well doing. And on yesterday, I talked about how we begin to see our positioning fail, dare I say our business fail, because of certain things that we're not willing to do. And one of those things was giving up too soon. In our corporate journey, we have an entire organization backing us up. We have entire teams that are committed to the success of whatever the initiatives are that we're driving. And so the wins can come faster, right? Oftentimes we are validating things on a weekly basis, sometimes a daily basis, because we are expecting to see the needle move that fast. And so, because we're coming out of corporate where those wins happen so fast, and we've got all of this backing behind us with great authority and resources, when we launch out on our own, we sometimes expect the same thing. We expect it to happen so quickly, and we're not willing to give it time. So we give up on it. But one of the things I said yesterday that I want to continue with today, that's illustrated even in my water aerobic story, is positioning is a long game. It requires repetition. It requires you to stay with it when it comes to your business. It requires testing. It requires you validating things. It requires you understanding how to read the analytics and read the performance and read the results, even though they may not look like the tangible ones you believe would be there. There are results happening. But there's so much discouragement that comes because we have all of these highlight reels. We have all of these people who are showing up. And when we make our attempt after one post or after 2 weeks of effort, we start trying to give up because we think it's not working, when we really are giving up too soon. And we are not giving our positioning a chance. So where I ended on yesterday is I talked about positioning not being an overnight win. Just like in my own journey with water aerobics, it was not an overnight win. It was something I had to keep showing up for, and I had to allow it to take time. In your business, when you're showing up, you have to allow it to take time so that the positioning, which includes your messaging and your branding and all of these things, can take root and the message can actually get into the marketplace. I just said to one of my clients at the very end of our call, if it doesn't seem like it's overwhelmed to you, then you haven't said it enough. It needs to feel like a broken record to you. And it'll be the first time it seems like someone has taken notice. And you'll be like, I've been talking about this for a long time. And it's because it takes that repetition. It takes it giving time to take root so that you can begin to understand the effect and impact of your show up in the marketplace. And so as we are looking at people, that we see their success, we see the glory of their today, but we don't understand what it took for them to get to the point of achieving the impact and success that they are enjoying and that they have. One of the podcasts, in fact, it was a show before, and I loved it when it was a show, and I'm really glad it's available as a podcast, is Oprah Winfrey's Masterclass. I love Masterclass because I love hearing about lived experiences, because we see people's glory, but we don't understand their story. We don't understand what they had to go through in order to get to the other side of the success that we are erroneously comparing ourselves to. And so I love listening to the masterclass as I'm listening to these iconic people talk about their journey and beginning to realize that their lived experience was not overnight. And it's foolish of me to compare my day one to their day 19,500. I am at the beginning of my journey. I am learning things through my business. And as I learn things, I have to stay with it and be willing to pivot with it so that the success can come. But many of us look at their success and we hold it as a gauge of comparison to our own. And what I really want to remind you to do is not forget about their lived experience. not forget about what it took for them to get to the point that they're enjoying the success, so that you don't use their success to weaponize the beginning stages of your journey. Your positioning needs a chance to take root. And if you will allow it to be a leading factor, and if you will allow it to be something that you're willing to be visible for, and something that you're willing to be committed to learning more about, and something that you're willing to give up all of these assumptions of what it is and what it's not, and how it's doing and what it's doing, not doing, and really recognize that it is a seed and not a light switch, you can begin to get to the levels of success that you desire to. But so many of us give up too soon. Your positioning of your business in the marketplace is something that needs to be planted. It needs to be planted, and it needs to be watered with you consistently showing up for it, so that it can grow and be magnetic for your business. And so as I was thinking about all of the things that I shared, of these ideas of being comparison to people who have success, the idea of comparing your day one with someone's day 19,000, I started to think about some of the people that I think are incredible in the marketplace, because their lived experience doesn't necessarily always come through in their today success. And one of the people I thought about was Sarah Blakely, and she is the person who seemed to have come out of nowhere and has become a billionaire, what seemed like overnight, around Spanx. Many women probably know the Spanx brand. And when you think of Sarah Blakely, you think of the success that she's achieved. You think of the brand that she built. You think of all of the deals that she was able to make around it. But the reality is she spent 7 years selling fax machines door to door before Spanx. She worked nights and weekends perfecting the prototype she used, and she used $5,000 of her own savings and countless rejections from manufacturers who did not take her seriously. She hustled for years before landing that spot on Oprah's Favorite Things. You see, the days when she was in her early years, we don't hear about that. We just hear about the billionaire. But she had to hold on to her dream, and she had to navigate through those early stages, and she had to introduce a product that needed positioning and needed her determination behind it, that needed the consistency with it, so that she could deliver the impact and income that she knew was tied to it. When she landed on Oprah's Favorite Things, it gave her a huge visibility boost. And that moment looked like sudden to all of us, but it was the result of years of grinding in obscurity that helped her get a shot at that opportunity. Now, we would be very foolish to compare our products or even our service to someone who had all of this legwork and learnings that she applied in that moment, all of that grit that she applied in that moment after making one post, after showing up for 2 weeks, after showing up for 1 month. It said that she had 7 years of doing something else that funded her vision. See, that lived experience is something that doesn't seem to get a highlight reel the same way that her billionaire status does. And we are looking at the fact that she can make one post about a new product category or one post about a new offering and seem to take off fast. That's her today. That's her day 19,550 or whatever. You cannot compare that to your day one. But there are some obvious clues of success that we can learn from her around her grit, around her determination, around her willingness to be the face and brand of her business, around the vision that she held, around her willingness to invest. All of those things we can learn. and apply to our business as we are attempting to accelerate forward. So another person that was one that came up for me was Valerie Burton. And when I think about Valerie Burton, I consider her a person that is a pioneer in the coaching and personal development space. I'm using my phone because I have some notes here, in the coaching and personal development space. And I think the myth around Valerie is many people assume she became a best-selling author and an in-demand speaker overnight, riding the wave of this coaching industry boom. But the reality is she started her journey in the late 1990s, leaving a corporate marketing role to pursue writing and coaching when the field was not widely recognized. And her first book didn't catapult her to instant fame. She spent years writing, years speaking at small events, years building credibility, all while facing rejection from publishers and slow adoption of coaching as a legitimate profession. And now she hails as one of the biggest voices when it comes to personal development and coaching. But it wasn't a sudden breakout. It was the results of her being persistent. It was the results of her establishing her voice as a thought leader. It was the results of her steady growth and intention. And I guess the reason why I'm leaning into this is because what I find is we often give up when it feels like we are not seeing success. But those people we are comparing ourselves to, whether it's Sarah Blakely or someone like Valerie Burton, the people that we're comparing ourselves to, they had to stick with it and they had to be diligent about learning enough on the way so that they could pivot and really build the empires that we now marvel at. And so what I want to encourage you to do, especially as you're looking at your business, is to recognize that in the season of learning about what's resonating in the marketplace, you've got to develop that same grit, that same persistence, that same market positioning yourself as an expert or leader in whatever field it is that you are called to. You have to exhibit those same traits. Those are the success clues that we have to grab and begin to adopt in our own pattern. And the way we adopt them is by watering what it is we're working on with consistency. Watering what it is that we're working on with consistency. It's so interesting to me how many people do treat it like it's a switch. Oh, I need this. Let me turn it on. But in the same way that you would look at someone that you felt ghosted you for a while, or you felt that you really didn't know in the marketplace and wonder whether or not they were trustworthy because they just happened to show up every now and then, it's the same way that people look at you. And so your consistency breeds the trust. Your consistency breeds the connection. And without it, you seem flaky. You don't seem as if you're committed to your business. You don't seem as if you're committed to the vision that you have said you are called to do. And so I know sticking with the learning process can feel difficult. But everyone you're applauding for, everyone you're impressed by, everyone whose story is incredible, they had to do it too. And you continuing to compare yourself to their day 19,000 when you are still on your day one or your day 100 is robbing you. That comparison is robbing you of the opportunity to show up fully committed to your vision. And so one of the things that I have incorporated in my process very intentionally, and the thing that I'm most grateful for, is by spending time talking with you, it forced me to really say what the process is. I walk my clients through it, but it forced me to spell it out so that they could begin to understand and I could articulate to you what the differentiating qualities are. You see, when you are trying to tease out the strength of your positioning, you've got to look at the right indicators. It's not about guessing. We got to track the right data points that actually reveal if your positioning and your offers are working. It's not a feeling. It's not an inkling. It's tracking the right information to say whether or not it's working. And then you have to interpret those signals correctly. And where most see failure, I help you see momentum. Where most people look at it and say, this is not working, I help you to understand that it is working, and this is what you glean from it. This is what it's saying to you. We separate the false negatives from true red flags. And that is a very important skill, because when you're trying to interpret how the performance is happening and you look at it, if you don't understand what you're looking at or what the data is saying to you, you will read it all as true red flags and stop. You will abort when you're really still in the learning phase. We have to make smart and timely pivots. So we fine tune your message, we fine tune your visibility, and we fine tune your offers without throwing out what's already working. You have to be able to parse it apart and understand what's working and what needs to adjust. We repeat with precision. We don't reinvent the wheel. We stay with it, and each cycle gets sharper and sharper because we're building on proven signals. But what ends up happening the most is we have no signals to read, because you stop showing up after one or two tries when you really need to continue on so that you can accelerate. And this is where you need a coach that can help you navigate all that you're seeing, all that you're hearing, all that you're reading, so that you don't abort, so that you can continue, so that you get the proven signals, and so that you accelerate to profits. But what starts to happen is the breakdown occurs. The breakdown occurs because you're comparing yourself to someone else's post that seems to have gone viral, and it looks like they only had to do it one time. But that's comparing your day one to their day 19,000, and you're giving up every potential seed that you have for greatness because of that comparison. So there is a process. There is a process that you have to give yourself to if you want to tease out your positioning, if you want to understand how to get it to work. When you are accelerating to profit, the outcome is traction. Traction. The outcome is traction, but you don't get traction standing still. You don't get traction without visibility. When you get traction, it will compound, and the clients who trust you will recognize that you are the answer for them. Your offers will land with them, and the income will grow predictably. That is the process. That is the process you have to give yourself to, not comparison to someone's day 19,000. You cannot look at their success and use it to weaponize your beginning. And so I just want to encourage you today, because so many people have incredible things that they're called to do, but we give up too soon. And I want to share with you that there is a process, there is support, there is guidance, there is a coach that can help you look at the right indicators, that can help you interpret those signals correctly, that can help you make smart, timely pivots, that can help you understand what it is that you need to repeat with precision, and that can help you accelerate to your profit and success. In between your purpose and your profits is positioning. But it's also the place that if you take your eyes off the prize and you start looking at other people, you will get robbed. And this is why I always say this. You have to have someone that can not only show you what, how, and why, but you need someone that is going to hold space for you when it gets frustrating, discouraging, or it doesn't look like anything you understand what to do with. You have to have someone whose strength you can lean on in those moments. And the space that I'm curating is perfect for women who are ready to accelerate to their success by launching the right business. If you know that is you, and if you know your positioning, your market positioning isn't as crisp as it needs to be, if you know that your business isn't tied to your purpose like it needs to be tied to it to really generate satisfaction and fulfillment for you, if you know you aren't making the money from your business that you desire to make, you have to make a powerful choice to choose to invest in yourself and your business to get the help and support that you need. It will not come by you looking at someone's day 3000 while you are still at day one, but it will come for someone from partnering with someone who wants to help you get there, who wants to help you succeed. And so I want you to avoid comparison. I want you to avoid missing the opportunity for your success. And I want to invite you to join me at Corporate to Entrepreneur Live. If you know that you've been distracted and you have not been pursuing your business the way that you've been called to, and you know that impact and income is on the other side for you, I want to invite you to be courageous and take a step to join me at Corporate to Entrepreneur Live. If you go to www.theceoshift.live, you can get more information about this experience that's going to be absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to share the Corporate to Entrepreneur method with you. I cannot wait to accelerate your success, and help you accomplish and achieve. But the one message I got for you today, and I hope it came across loud and clear, is do not give up too soon by comparing yourself to someone else who's doing the thing when you can learn from someone who wants to help you do the thing. Don't allow comparison to rob you. So this invitation is yours. If you know someone who needs to be in the room, I invite you to share this message with them. This experience is still in pre-sale. It will be in pre-sale to the end of this month. In exactly 10 days, the pre-sale rate will go away. And it is an incredible experience for women who are ready to launch and accelerate the right business. In this experience, we are going to bring a strategy and plan to your vision. We are going to establish a roadmap so that you'll know exactly what you need to do to get the success that you want. And then you've got to make the choice to be visible for it and to go after it. And we're here to empower that too. And so I want to invite you to join me October 25th and 26th in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is an in-person experience. This is not virtual. We will be in the room together. I'll be there to empower you, to support you, to coach you, to guide you, to mentor you, all of the things. It's going to be a great event, and I would love to see you in the room. So this is my invitation to you. And again, if you know someone who needs this support, who is asking for this type of guidance, please be your sister's keeper and share, like and share, so that we can make sure that we're being more enterprising in this season and that we're building our own empires instead of continuing to invest all our wisdom, strength, aptitude, and capabilities into other initiatives and companies. And so that's what I have for you today. Hopefully that connected well. Please avoid comparison. It is always a thief, always a thief. It will rob you of what it is that you're called to do. Do not compare your day 1 to someone else's day 19,000. Now, on tomorrow, I am looking forward to having an incredible interview conversation. So it's going to be great. I'll be back here at lunchtime to close out the week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.